Hi everyone and welcome to this week's video. I'm very excited to have you here with me because we are going to be talking about my top 3 pre-1950s classic Christmas movies. That was a mouthful. I just wanted to be very specific because there are so many Christmas movies I enjoy watching. I mean, honestly, I started in the middle of November and I still have a long list of movies to get through. There's just so many good Christmas movies. And I didn't want to make this video like 3 hours long, so I thought I'd just kind of break off and do little sections of each group of movies. That way it kind of narrows it down and you'll have time to watch the movie after watching this video, which I really hope you do. These are 3 very popular movies. They're played on TV like all the time, and if you're lucky, like me, you own some of them. Some of them are available on streaming services like Amazon Prime, Netflix. You can check them out on there. I know TCM is playing all of these movies, with the exception of one. Or there's also the, I think it's called TCM Now Playing. You can either watch it through your browser on like a laptop or computer, or you can watch it through the app. Before I get started, I also want to say thank you for all the support for my last video. It's been really popular and I'm really happy that I got to decorate with you all and kind of spread some Christmas cheer. So why don't we get started on what this video is about, which is movies. And I'm very excited because these are 3 of my favorite movies, not just, you know, favorite Christmas movies. These are some of my favorite movies. So starting in number 3, I have The Shop Around the Corner, which is an absolutely adorable movie. It's from 1940. It's an MGM film. It stars Jimmy Stewart, Margaret Sullivan, and Frank Morgan, although it has a really well-known cast. So this movie is based off of the 1937 Hungarian play by Miklos Laszlo. It was just adapted for the screen. The story is about the same. So we have 2 employees of a shop that absolutely cannot stand each other. Like, they're in the same room and they're like throwing darts at each other. They think the other one is just so annoying. They just can't wait to get off of work and get the other person out of their hair. And they have pen pals that they write love letters to, and they are in love with the pen pal that they are writing to. And little do they know that they're writing to each other, and eventually they meet up, and it's interesting to say the least. I'll go ahead and leave the ending up to you to watch so that you can be surprised to see what happens when they finally meet up. If I were to compare this to like a super modern show, I would probably say that the closest thing that comes to it is, I just watched it. It's on Netflix. Dash and Lily. It's a lot like that, where they're writing to each other. They've kind of met. It varies quite a bit as far as what happens, but the concept is still there. I think that we also see this in Now You Have Mail, I think. I can't remember. It's a 90s film. I don't watch a lot of 90s films, but this theme has been recycled multiple times. You'll probably watch it and be like, oh my gosh, I've seen a movie exactly like that, or I've read a book exactly like that, or I've seen a play exactly like that. So it's kind of fun to see how different interpretations of a story you can see. This was directed by Ernest Lubitsch. Again, I might be pronouncing that name wrong, so I apologize if I am. I was actually reading some trivia on this movie just to kind of get ready for this video, and I actually found out that Jimmy Stewart was the director's first choice for this movie because he was the antithesis of the charming, suave character that a lot of people were used to seeing, like Cary Grant, who I'm going to talk about later. And the director was like, this guy's the opposite of that. We need him. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I always find it so interesting that he was the opposite of that. And if you watch a lot of classic films and you listen to the way they talk, a lot of the actors talk very similar, and Jimmy Stewart didn't sound like any of the other male actors or female actors of the time. And I just find that really interesting. They were just like, you're not that, we need you. Love you, Jimmy. Some more interesting facts about the movie. It was filmed in 28 days and with only $500,000, which wasn't too much back then, and it was a very short amount of time for the most part. Actually, one of the scenes took 48 takes. It wasn't Jimmy Stewart's best day, according to several sources. They have stated that the reason it took 48 takes was because he was very self-conscious that day, and it was the scene where his trousers are rolled up. If you haven't seen it, you'll know what I mean when you watch it. He was just like, I just don't like the way my legs look, and it just doesn't feel right. And then the director was getting mad, and Margaret Sullivan was getting mad, and they were like, ah. And then at one point, I think someone had mentioned that Jimmy Stewart was like, why don't you just get someone else to stand in and show their legs off, and then like took off. But he came back. They got the scene done. The Shop Around the Corner. It's a great movie. It's a classic. You should definitely watch it at least once. That way you could say, hey Kat, that was a terrible movie, I didn't like it. Or you might end up finding out that you love the movie and it's something you want to watch every year. And so that brings us up to number 2, which is It's a Wonderful Life. I know, you were probably gonna think that I was gonna say that was number 1, so you're in for a surprise. But at number 2, I have It's a Wonderful Life. It stars Jimmy Stewart, Donna Reed, Lionel Barrymore, and again, just a ton of other actors you are for sure going to recognize, especially if you watch a lot of classic films. So this is a 1946 Frank Capra film. I love Frank Capra films, so of course this would make it up to the top 3, not just because it's a very well-known movie and I enjoy it, but I mean, come on, Frank Capra. It is a romance drama film, and it's about a very generous man. We're taking through his upbringing, so we kind of get snippets of his life as he's growing up, and you see that he's a very loving, a very caring, and again, a very generous boy, and he brings all those aspects into his adult life. A lot of times he turns down opportunities that would help him kind of step up and move on to bigger things just for himself, in order to take care of the ones he loves and he cares for. And he's constantly doing this, and he reaches that tipping point when some money goes missing, because he works, he manages a bank. That might not be his actual position. I can't quite remember. His uncle loses some money. He's in a lot of trouble. If he like backs out, a lot of people are going to be hurt. He doesn't know what to do, and he figures the only way out of this is through suicide. And his angel comes down, and they kind of see what his life would be like without him. And it's a very sad movie. It's also very heartwarming. It's something like you will see this all over on TV, so there's no reason to really not be able to see it. I know you could see it on multiple different streaming services, and it's for sure a classic that I think will withstand all time. I mean, as long as people are watching movies, this movie is going to be playing every Christmas, and I think it's especially important to watch it this year because of everything we've all been through, because even though we haven't been through the exact same thing and have the exact same circumstances, we've been through a lot, and sometimes it feels like it's too much, and that, you know, what's the point of us even being around? And so sometimes it's nice to see a different interpretation and kind of like look at someone else's life as an example, and then to kind of reflect on our own life and think about all the things that we have been blessed with and the things we should be grateful for. Because hey, we made it this far. It's December. We're like, well, according to like some journals that you read, you know, this COVID has been around for like a year, and so you've made it through a year of a pandemic on top of a million other things, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to enjoy talking about movies and little trivia. And one really interesting tidbit that kind of ties back into like pandemic and everything is that you'll see when Jimmy Stewart's character is young, he saves the pharmacist's job essentially because he's really upset. He finds out that his son had passed away in a letter, and he was going to give the wrong medicine to one of his customers, and Jimmy Stewart saves him. And it's a very intense scene, but it's very critical to the movie, and it's really important to the Jimmy Stewart's character's life. It's a very pivotal moment. And the reason his son had died was because of the 1918 Spanish flu that was going around, which has been compared to our current pandemic a lot throughout the past year because in World War I, it wasn't super sanitary in the trenches, so the soldiers were passing around this disease, and then they brought home when the war was over, and then everyone else back at home got sick. The way in which the Spanish flu has spread and not having a cure for it is compared to COVID now, which I found was really interesting. I'm like, oh yeah, it has a little bit of a pandemic here, and you know, we're living through a pandemic right now. Some other interesting non-COVID trivia is that a lot of times if there was a snow scene, they would be using painted cornflakes. So they take the cornflakes, they paint them white, and then they just throw them down on the actors, and it'd be like super loud and noisy, but you get the action, you get the look that you needed, and then they go back and they dub in all the actors' voices. That's not what Frank Capra wanted. And so he's like, you guys gotta figure out something else, because I want to record the audio and I need it to snow. And so the production team was like, okay, well, how are we gonna do this? So they ended up taking some of the stuff they use on fires, you know, the foam that they spray out to put the fires out. They used that in order to create the snow. So they created a whole new type of snow just for this movie, and they ended up winning an award for it. They also built the entire town. Like, the town of Bedford does not exist. They actually built that in a ranch over in Southern California, and it's everything that you see there was built from the ground up, and then as soon as they were done filming, they took it all out, which is amazing. I think I ended up reading that there's a residential area built there, so like you could go there, but someone actually lives in that spot where Jimmy Stewart was, which I love. That's so cool. And so when you take into consideration the new type of snow, building an entire city, you would think, oh wow, this would have been an expensive film to make. You would be right. It cost $3.7 million to make. And that's in money back then, not money right now. That's a lot of money. It was a flop because at the box office they only made $3.3 million. It also took a while to make this film. It took 90 days. And if you compare that to The Shop Around the Corner that we just talked about, The Shop Around the Corner was $500,000 in 28 days. This was $3.7 million and 90 days. It wasn't a very popular film back when it came out in 1946. It became popular because there was some oversight, and the copyright ran out in the 70s. So TV stations got a hold of that, and they would just continuously play it over and over and over again. And people found out, wow, they really enjoy this movie. So it became a tradition to watch. Eventually, they did get a hold of it in the rights, so you know the companies could start making money off of it again, obviously. But I don't think that that movie would be as popular as it is if it hadn't been for that contract running out and the TV playing it, because sometimes movies, you know, if they didn't do well, they were protected, they just wouldn't be shown again. People wouldn't see them. Thankfully, we have, you know, people like Mr. Turner who collected these and will play these for people nowadays, so like I could watch them. Honestly, I think we're in such a great time for entertainment and for movies and all that, because streaming is so big. Like, I have been watching a Christmas movie like once a day, twice a day sometimes. Sometimes I watch a show and I get like 3 a day. It's getting a little bit too much around here. I need to like actually do some more work. I say I'm studying for these videos. But we're living in a wonderful time where we could just watch these movies whenever we want. We can learn about these classics. We can see how other people lived, all, you know, at the touch of our fingers. And that just blows my mind. If it wasn't for, you know, like TV and streaming services and all that, there would be movies like It's a Wonderful Life that would have never gotten off the ground. It would have been forgotten, and we would be lucky if someone, as I had mentioned before, like Mr. Turner, had saved that movie, had found it, had purchased it, and would be willing to show it to everyone else and share it with the rest of the world. But I will move on to a little bit more trivia, because there's a lot of really interesting facts about It's a Wonderful Life that I found out by researching for this video. One of which is that this was Jimmy Stewart's first film after returning from World War II. He served in the Air Force for a while. He wanted to fight for his country and for his country's freedom and everything that the United States stands for. And he wasn't quite ready to jump back into filming. And it took the persuasion of Frank Capra, the rest of the cast, and the crew to say, no, we really need you to do this. You're perfect for this role. We want you on our team. And eventually they did persuade him, and I think Jimmy Stewart did a wonderful job. I can't really imagine anyone else fulfilling that role. Yes, I am a huge fan of Jimmy Stewart, and yes, I love every movie that he's in, but that's because he's such a skilled actor. Another thing that happened on set was you'll get to a scene where the uncle is kind of drunk, he stumbles off screen, there's this huge crash. You think he like ran into some trash cans or something? He didn't, and that wasn't in the script. There was actually a PA who dropped a bunch of stuff, and the actors took it. They utilized it. You know, the uncle was like, oh no, and Jimmy Stewart would be like, are you okay? And the uncles would be like, yeah, no. You know, when someone's off screen, I forget exactly what they say, but it works. It's perfect. And Frank Capra saw that and was like, yes, this is perfect. I love it. PA, you get a little extra money. Let me tell you, that doesn't happen often in Hollywood. You slip up and then boom, you're kicked off. I'm being completely honest. I've seen it. It's intense. That's why we have these trained, experienced actors in here, because they're not thrown off by what's not on the script. They take what they have, what's in the environment, they embody it in the character, and then they give their performance. So if you haven't had the chance to watch it yet, which, I mean, no judgment here if you haven't watched any of these, because It's a Wonderful Life, I think the first time I watched it was 3 years ago. And it's on TV all the time. I just said that. And The Shop Around the Corner I just watched like 2 years ago. And the movie I'm going to talk about next, I watched for the first time last year. Anytime is a good time to watch these movies because they're very festive. They have the meaning of Christmas in them, and it just makes you feel warm inside. So that brings me to my number one film, The Bishop's Wife. Yes, this is my top pick for the Christmas movie, and actually this is my favorite movie of all time, out of any movie, the whole universe. Yes, it is. It's that good. This 1947 film stars Cary Grant, David Niven, and Loretta Young. It is an MGM film and was directed by Henry Koster, which actually he wasn't the first choice for a director. They had a different director in. They were filming some things, and Samuel Golden was just like, this isn't working. You need to get out of here. They brought Henry Koster in. They had to refilm a bunch of different things, and they actually changed who they casted. Originally, we had Cary Grant and David Niven in different places. So in the movie, David Niven plays the bishop. He's very caught up in his image and the financial aspect of being a bishop, because he wants to build this really grand place of worship, and he wants it all to look really flashy. He's trying to get some financial backers, and he loses the meaning of Christmas. And that's where Dudley, the angel, comes in, played by Cary Grant, and he eventually helps everyone out in peculiar ways, ways you would be like, wait, that's not gonna help out, and then you watch what happens and you're like, oh, okay, that's why you're an angel and I'm just a human. And then eventually helps the bishop out and shows him back to what the true meaning of Christmas really is. I can see why they wanted Cary Grant as the bishop and David Niven as the angel, but I think it's much stronger having them switch the way they are, because you would expect someone like Cary Grant, someone who's suave, someone who, you know, if you look at the characters he's played in the past, usually he's someone who has some money, someone who is very upper class, who usually gets what he wants. Not ruthless, but he charms people into getting what he wants. Even though he does charm everyone, in a way it charms others into what they need. Not what he wants, but what they need. The reason why this film is my favorite movie of all time is because it completely changed the way I look at life, which I think true art should have some sort of impact on you, should either make you think about something, make you hate it, make you love it. You think about it after you're done looking at it, you're done watching it, you're done whatever it is you're doing, because art has different mediums. And this one made me think about the fact that, you know, oh, maybe there is an angel, you know, changing, following me around, kind of telling me what needs to be done. Oh, this didn't work out because it wasn't meant to be. It's kind of helped me with that kind of idea of life. It was actually not very popular when it came out. Again, like It's a Wonderful Life, because a lot of people thought it was a religious movie and didn't want to see it. So you have Samuel Goldwyn, who came in and was like, okay, we gotta sell this movie because it's really good. Gotta have people watching it. And of course, you know, he needed the money. He decided that he was gonna change the title to Carrie and the Bishop's Wife. And that's just how big Cary Grant was. You could slap his name on the movie and ticket sales would go up 25%. I kid you not. Like, people were swarming into the theaters to watch this because they wanted to see Cary Grant, which I totally understand. Like, I'll be flipping through the channels and be like, oh my gosh, Cary Grant, I'm gonna record that. I don't know what this movie's about. I've never seen it before, never heard of it. Which at this point in my life, and being a fan of Cary Grant for like 15 years, there's not really any movies I haven't seen with him in it or haven't at least heard of. But there were people like that who you're like, oh, shoot, I gotta go see that now. So if you do watch these movies in this order, you know, starting out with The Shop Around the Corner, working your way to It's a Wonderful Life, and finishing off with The Bishop's Wife, you will notice that the children look very familiar in The Bishop's Wife. That's because they were in It's a Wonderful Life. So overall, I just hope you enjoy these movies as much as I do. I haven't watched any of them yet this year, but I hope to watch all three before Christmas. I do have It's a Wonderful Life on DVD, so I will be watching that for sure. But go ahead, let me know in the comments if there's a different movie that you watch that is just, you know, that's your Christmas movie you have to watch every year. And, or if you have suggestions, like for other Christmas movies I hadn't watched and that I should watch. Anywho, I hope you're doing great and that you're enjoying the holiday season and you're taking part in some festivities, even though they do look really different this year. I hope you're still having fun, you're taking care of yourself, and thank you so much for watching this video. You can go ahead and give it a like and subscribe if you want to. I'd appreciate it. And have a great rest of your day, great rest of the week. I'll be back next week with a new video, so be on the lookout for that. And I'll see you guys next time, okay? Alright, bye!